All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Whenever you're listening, we're talking some UFC. A different face down below. Our man Big Marley is on vacation in Florida. I'm with the man, the myth, the legend, Sheets. Very excited to do a show. I think this might be our first show. Maybe we did a three-man booth, but Sheets, someone I respect very highly in every single DFS sports. MMA is probably my favorite sport nowadays. Football's up there, but I love the sweats. Sheets is, again, one of very, very sharp in MMA streets. M-Habes, you can usually find them above you in the leaderboards. It's a 12-fight card. 12 fights is my magic number I always talk about. We're at the apex. Smaller cage, as you can see on the stone. 9 of the 12 fights are expected to finish or at least have a minus next to it, a couple coin flips right there. But I think this is going to be a solid card. Fingers crossed nothing is canceled, but no time to waste. Sheets, bring you in. I appreciate you doing this. And yeah, I'm excited for our hour and a half talk, whatever it may be. How we doing?
Everything's good, man. You know, these guys do such a great job, and I'm just happy to talk fights with them. You know, usually I do a lot of stuff on my own, you know, and that can get like somewhat lonely. And I'll tell you, even like some of the Ship It Nation videos I do by myself. I don't know if you saw me, but like literally whenever they have that intro music coming in, even by myself, I start to like pump that stuff up. I don't know who wrote that, but that's really, really good shit. But yeah, I mean, part of the reason why I continue to get obsessed with the UFC is originally from you and Marley, like getting me kind of up, you know, getting me involved in the sport in the first place. Now, again, I've kind of morphed and developed since then, and with DFS caring less about the fights, and it's kind of like a little stupid when you think about it. Like I try to dismiss my idea of like who's going to win and who I like and what's going to be good and all that stuff, and I've turned into one of those freaking guys that just regard these things just kind of like data points on a freaking spreadsheet and stuff like that. And it's a little annoying. But that's what happens with all of DFS. I mean, DFS, listen, the Knicks freaking won the championship for the first time since I've been not since I've been alive in a long time. I just don't even care. You know what I mean? I'm like one of those guys that just don't even care about sports anymore because of the stupid DFS thing. But UFC is the closest I get to really actually getting into the sport along with that. Because listen, last week's UFC at the White House, listen, let's face it, from a DFS perspective, it was a stupid freaking slate. I ended up chopping the winner, and you know what? If Gaethje didn't completely smash, it would have actually cashed for 25,000 instead of like 5,800.
Wow.
Or 8,700. Yeah. If I had just gotten there enough, he would have been in the flex, and I was chopping with only a few people for 25,000. But because he's like really smashed, then the captain ones got there. But every time I watch the UFC, you know, you just see the punishment that these freaking people are willing to take. And I remember the first UFC card I ever went to live was I saw Gaethje versus Chandler as part of the prelims for Usman versus I think Covington. And I like couldn't breathe after that Gaethje Chandler fight, and it reminded me of that. You know, when Gaethje was fighting Topuria, you know, it's like I know it's like so much marketing or stuff like that, but when they talk about the BMF belt and stuff like that, these guys really are fucking bad mother effers. You know what I mean? Like to be able to take the punishment that Gaethje took. I mean, I watched that second round like 6 times since it ended, and how the hell he survived that second round, not to survive, but to like turn it around and like inflict his own punishment. And then even for Topuria, you know, listen, you know, obviously lost, but to take some of those knees that he took and, you know, like just what these people do in the ring is just crazy. And the reason I bring this up is from a DFS perspective, one of the edges I think you get from not, you know, getting too invested in your fight analysis is that we as kind of like storytellers try to like come up with some like order. You know what I mean? Say, okay, like if A wins, it's going to be because of this. But if B wins, it's going to be because of that. And they turn into this binary thing. But at the end of the day, there's so much chaos like in these fights that to think that way just kind of, I just think it kind of misses the boat. It's so funny. When I was doing my breakdown of that fight last week, even, I said, listen, I know what you guys are going to think. This is going to be a tough take, but believe it or not, Gaethje does win that fight 20% of the time, because that's what the odds say. Just like when I said back in the day where nobody believed that Merab could ever lose to Jan in that fight, right? Because we were used to just Merab just like taking everybody down. And he took Jan down a zillion times the fight before, whatever. Why wouldn't he? But just because he's likely to win doesn't mean he's always going to win. And when you're dealing with an ownership game, when you're balancing all that stuff, you got to learn to like not think of things that they're either going to happen or they're not. Like everything is a percentage. Everything has got a shot. And I guess maybe when you get older and you've seen so much shit go down, you know what I mean? I mean, between people running into the world, bombing the World Trade Center, to long-term capital, destroying the markets, to 2008, and it's COVID, you see so much shit. You then like say, well, 20% chance to win. That to me, that's like the sun going up and down. You know what I mean? Like that happens all the time. So that's since we've last spoke, again, as you know, I mean, become much more of kind of the evil empire as far as this goes. Like, listen, I think that XYZ is going to win, but at the end of the day, if someone's 30% to win and they're 12% owned, you probably should give them a shot in this particular sport.
Yeah, you've helped me a lot with that for sure, because I am someone, I mean, you always mention it, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. When I say I go all in, I have 100%. And I mean, I went on a big downswing in MMA. When you're not taking first in this sport, you're pretty much not winning with especially the Chop City kind of like NFL showdown. But you've helped me a lot, Big Marley, like looking at odds. If it's 17% chance to finish and they're 9% owned, usually that could be a play. And it's all about your roster. We talk about that a lot. You can eat chalk, but if you have chalk in 3 spots, maybe you should do something different in a couple other ones. Leaving salary in MMA obviously is a way to get difference. This card, I think, we have a couple big favorites, but they are priced efficiently. We don't have any like underdogs right now as the favorites. A good amount are expected to finish. A main event, when we will get there, I do think is you can fade. There is a chance that it stays on the feet almost the whole time, expected to go to the championship round. So I don't think there's just one fight you have to be all in on. You rarely do that anyways. And I like looking at contest flashback. This is a good time to get some marketing out of the way. ShipItNation.com, our homepage over here, as you can see, our all access special, usually $99. Now $49, get you content to all of the sports above. The US Open tomorrow. Sheets already did a video in our Discord, so check that out. Leverage Lane. Big boy prizes out there in the industry. Excited to build some golf teams after this. We got MMA, of course, NASCAR on Sundays. I know Sheets plays all these sports, so I can't keep saying that.
Well, you know what? It's like people say that when the NFL season's not around, who cares? I mean, do you know what's happened in the last like 96 hours, like in sports? Like when I went out to Vegas, right? I flew out on a Friday, and first in order, you had the World Cup with the USA just showing out, and it's so funny. I was at Circa, and there was like 17 screens on the US soccer team, and in the bottom right there was a little TV of like Jacob Mizorowski putting on like a legendary freaking pitching performance. So now I fly back, get in Saturday to see the Knicks and all that stuff, and just when you can't breathe, Sunday comes, you have that ridiculous UFC card, and oh, by the way, the Stanley Cup Finals finished. You know what I mean? And then you blink, and you have the U.S. Open. So there's all kinds of stuff going on, and so here's I have a question. So you mentioned that the 12 fights is kind of like your magic number. So this is the way I kind of look at it. So for me, like the way I look at these GPP cards is it a card where you can just kind of play good plays, or do you have to like engage in funny business? And funny business to me means some combination of low salary, like geomean filtering, just kind of screwy stuff, with your lineups to try to get unique. And for me, like 13 is more like that number that I kind of need. But the thing is that if you have a 12 fight card, you could get away with it as long as, and you mentioned this, as long as there's no lock, as long as, thank God there's no replacement fighters yet, right? That could become a lock. And there's also no fight that is everybody's going to play that you can't fade. Now, usually that means the main event, but sometimes, when you get those Terrence McKinney fights when it's 8,208K where you just have to play it, And if you have 12 fights and a main event you can fade, then I think you're okay. So I rate this card similar to you. I think it's a nice like B- as far as GPPs goes.
7.5 out of 10. I actually right now don't think anyone will be over 45% owned. We will see if I am right when it's all said and done. But yeah, if there's 12 fights and no one's over 45%, then it's a solid card in terms of that. But I do agree. When I say 12 is a magic number, once we get to 11, half the times I don't even play GPPs. So that's what I mean there. But yeah, we'll get right into it. Actually, yeah, let me just finish my thing over here. Again, shippingnation.com, usually $99, now $49. You do get SaberSim, which our man Cheats was talking about. You do get access to our Discord. Bottom left, join the nation. There's a couple other packages. If you want to get in for cheaper to give us a try, 5 days for $19. Again, does get SaberSim and Discord as well. Then we do have single sport options. If you are just playing MMA, it goes on pretty much every single week. You can get our content for less than $1 a day and just $20 more for SaberSim as well. We would love to have you. Most definitely do get in the Discord. I say we go bottom to top right away, though, Sheets. The first fight of the night. So I put these odds up on Tuesday, and I always like to do that to compare where the money has gone since then. So first fight of the night, Shane Collins and Otari Tanzilovi. Minus 200 is Collins. Otari plus 170. Minus 110 for this fight to finish. We have Collins plus 190 inside the distance. Otari plus 325. So Shane Collins has taken a little bit of money since Tuesday, was minus 180, now minus 200. He actually opened minus 150, then got to minus 190, then was back to minus 155, and he has taken some money since. This fight was announced on last Friday. This card was put together, the last one on the card. So I'll throw it to you to kick us off. What are you doing in this first fight?
Fact remains is that no matter what people say, nobody has any idea who these people are.
Both making their debut,
especially DFS players. And so what's good about that is you have to kind of rely on a little external content and a little bit of the odds, okay? Because the first thing I like to look at is, does any of these guys have like an extreme like takedown upside? Like if they have like that's going to be their path to victory, and everybody knows it. And if the answer is no, which seems to be the case here, that you are at least relying on the inside the distance prop to govern whether you're going to play. Now, Shane Collins, from what I've heard, is like a boxer, And when you have boxer versus striker, whatever it is, the good thing is it's pretty cut and dry, And now you have an $8,500 fighter. We start with the favorite, right? Who is, like you said, plus what, 180 inside the distance, something like that. Yep. I mean, it's fine. Like the only thing that makes it okay is that the rest of the card kind of stinks too, is with respect to like, there's no like these huge inside the distance lines that you really are going to have to play with this. You don't have those like $8,600 guys with minus one, plus 120 or something like that. So he doesn't have a lot of competition, but in general, these types of fights, I end up just not getting to, because all you're getting is the inside the distance prop. And when you have minus 8,600 at plus, whatever he is, 180 inside the distance, to me, that's somebody that I'll get in 150 max just because I just get like a lot of people. But if I ever had to handpick 3 max, 20 max, there's just no way I'm getting to either of these guys, honestly.
All right, fair enough. I think I have a little more interest. I also, on some like unknown fights like this where it's lower level, there's more unknowns. It was just made on last Friday. Like maybe one of these guys' cardio is way worse. They're not nearly as in shape. And we know if once the gas tank goes in MMA, punches add up in bunches, late second round finish, third round finish, they can really pour it on. So plus 190, 34.5%, that is his likelihood to finish. I do think he comes in lower owned than that. And I do think Shane Collins, he's also taken 20 cents since Tuesday. So also why I don't love Manel Kape and the Horiguchi fight. So if you just go Kape to Shane Collins and leave 100 and you don't play the main event, that is one way you can eliminate a lot of dupes there. So I think I have a little more interest in this fight than you. Tanzilovi side I don't like as much, but if he wins at 7,700 and plus 325 inside the distance, isn't terrible for his. Let me just make sure I got that right. Yeah, plus 325 inside the distance is 23.5% at 7,700. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I do prefer Collins in this fight, but there is more unknowns Again, with both guys making their UFC debut, haven't fought great competition, and it's a late notice ad for them both. So I'll have a little bit, but it's not my favorite fight on the card by any means. We'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, good size favorites in the most likely fight to finish. Levan, Chokheli, minus 310, taking on Leon Shahbazyan, plus 260. Minus 400 for this fight to finish. We have Chokheli, minus 190 inside the distance. Shahbazyan, plus 350. You see Shahbazyan, you think of Edmund, his brother, but Shahbazyan's actually a grappler in this one, unlike his brother. And the props do show that. Shahbazyan to win by KO, plus 2,000. Shahbazyan to win by sub, plus 375. Chokheli to win by sub, plus 975. Chokheli to win by KO, minus 150. Chokheli also taking some money on the inside the distance prop, was minus 165, now minus 190. This fight seems pretty strong to me. I do think Chokheli will be one of the highest owned fighters. Minus 190 inside the distance is obviously good. Plus 215 in round one is solid as well. Shahbazyan, if he wins, I think he scores. So yeah, this is a fight I will definitely be playing a good amount of. Obviously, I expect the field to as well, but I don't think anyone comes in crazy owned, like I said, from the top. So do you have similar thoughts or different?
A little different in the fact that I don't see how this guy ends up being that popular. Only because, again,
Chokheli?
Yeah, only just because no one knows who he is. You know what I mean? Like it's this. First of all, it's the second fight of the night. Nobody likes that anyway. And it's a guy that
which is the wrong way to play, which we both know. But every fight's independent to each other.
Well, we're just talking about what people are going to do.
Yeah.
You know, and then what happens is, and this is, you made a really, really good point about when guys are making their debuts and when the guys are just not known too well, there's a lot of variance, okay? Because like this past weekend at UFC, like I thought everything was very perfectly well aligned and well priced, whatever. You want to know why? Because we've seen all those guys fight like 100 times, okay? There's no secrets with all that. All these guys are new. Not all of them, but these guys are secrets. Nobody really knows. You're getting like a little sketchy tape, you know, and whatever it is. And the thing that people don't realize, though, is that variance goes both ways. What a lot of people think is, wow, who is this guy to be minus 310? I mean, there's all kinds of variance here. Well, variance doesn't necessarily mean that he's overvalued. It could be that he's just that much better than Leon, and the minus 310 looks like minus 600. And what a lot of people just, you know, they screw it up. They say, well, you know what? I'm not going to trust this guy minus 300 because, you know, maybe I'll play it like a pick'em. Well, why don't you look at it the other way? Why don't trust the other guy even at plus 260, and we'll just get a pile on Levan, sorry. So yeah, minus 190 is inside the distance. That is typically a inside the distance prop that correlates more to like a $9,300, $9,400 fighter. So 9,100 is just an incredible price for him. So as far as the metrics go, he's just going to show up, I think, as, like you said, one of, if not the best play. Now, you hit it right on the head, though. If, in fact, he is going to show up as the best play, and this is what you really have to remember to do in UFC. Okay, this is the most important thing about getting leverage and playing GPPs, is if you can find a guy whose metrics are so obvious that makes him a good play, if you can just invent any way for his opponent to be even a reasonable play, then you should play the opponent as well, okay? Because you get all that leverage against all that ownership that you can play a guy who might not even be a great play if you're sure that the guy you're pitting against is a great play that everybody's going to see. So you mentioned that Leon is possibly like a grappler. That's going to be his path to victory. I mean, to be honest, that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and that plus the leverage you're going to get, I think, over Chokheli. Even if he's not the most popular, he's certainly going to get up there. With those metrics, how do you not? You know? And I'll say something else. The people that are going to play a lot of him, the people that don't like get scared of the early fights or whatever, are going to be the sharper, better players. So to get leverage on them is even more important. You know? So I definitely think that you have to play Leon. And I'll tell you this, in a 12-fight card, you know what else is live? The Marley, whatever her name was,
Marnik Man.
Yeah, the Marlik Man win with 20 points in a loss variation. And all you need is Leon to get like 1 or 2 takedowns, and get 25 points or 30 points. And next thing you know, no underdog wins, and he's in all the optimals. Okay. So I agree with you. I like Leon, obviously, but you definitely need to play Levan in the decent amount of your lineups.
Yep, definitely one of the best fights to target. Regardless of the ownership, I'm going to be playing quite a bit of it, and I do not see Leon getting much. I do think Levan will be one of the highest owned, but there's enough people in the upper tier that I do think it gets spread out. YSN always in here. Great to see you. Yep, everyone's supporting Sheets. All we ask is the like button and subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Moving from the most likely fight to finish to the most likely fight to go the distance, Karol hosts a -120 taking on Luana Santos. +100, -450 for this fight to go the distance. Santos, the underdog with a slightly better inside the distance prop at +500. Rosa at +600. I mean, right away, you look at this, it feels like an easy fade. One thing I do want to mention on the Rosa side, as you can see on the stone, she throws solid volume. In her 3 decision wins in the UFC, 111, 109, and 108. That was her first 3 fights. And then her last 2 decisions have scored 105 and 94. So Rosa has showed she can get there in a decision win. With that being said, she's taken on Luana Santos, who a judo practitioner, and most of Karol Rosa's wins, I believe it was 5 of those, or 4 of those 5, she has at least 1 takedown in those fights. So I'm not sure she's going to be wrestling much in this one, but she has kind of shown when she gets there, she does mix in takedowns. It's going to be really low owned. So I was just trying to make a case to maybe get some, but yeah, I'm curious to hear your take.
You know what's cool is that you and I don't talk about these fights beforehand, and we give our takes. And one of the things that I always hated about content is that the people that just agree with each other all the time or whatever it is. And what's cool about us is we don't even know what the other person's going to say. So,
No.
See, I'm looking at it the other way. So I pull up Santos. I literally just be an idiot, pull up her game log. She has a zillion hours of control time in her last two starts. I mean, she's had 3 takedowns against against Croton, who's pretty good herself. And then 2 takedowns against Lisboa is pretty big. And then you have 9 minutes of control time and 9 minutes of control time. And then against Stephanie Egger, who, if I'm not mistaken, is a pretty good grappler in her own right.
Grappler, yep.
Yeah. Santos had 9 minutes of control time there. And that was the worst of her performances as far as fantasy points, because she's always seems to be doing well. Now, look, I think that I was going to look at the other way. I thought that Santos was going to come off as being really, really popular, and I was going to come up with the other side as being a weird little bit of pivot against her. But again, it's only Wednesday, so I haven't done my ownership projections yet. What's going to keep this fight, what's going to make this fight owned is just because of the pricing. Whenever you have these $8,300, $7,900 fights, they just make lineup construction so easy that people are just going to play these guys. They're both going to be, I really do think they're both going to be 25% owned. I really do.
I think Rosa might be 16. Santos 22.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that this fight is very live for a lot of activity. I mean, you have. I think that Santos is going to be going for takedowns, and if you're telling me that Rosa can grapple too, then you have reversals. You have all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So I don't know. For me, I would really probably start with Santos and even almost a cash game. I don't know. That's the way I looked at it, at least.
All right. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I do think Santos will be higher owned, 400 less, a better money line value, and she is the one more likely to grapple. I probably prefer her to Rosa just because, again, when Rosa does score over 100, usually she is getting a takedown or multiple, and I don't think this is the matchup for her to really do that. She throws solid leg kicks. We'll be looking to keep it on the feet.
Yeah, solid leg kicks don't make us any money, right?
And they don't unless that who was it? Someone against Omar Morales.
No. The guy.
Chris Gutierrez against Omar Morales got TKO leg kicks.
No, but the other guy who got the TKO leg kicks. Remember, there's a guy recently who got a replacement fight. So he was 65% owned, at like 7,600.
Oh, Fernandez. I think it was
Yes.
Quay Fernandez.
And people didn't play him because they were saying that, well, even though he's got all the money line value, he doesn't have a lot of finish upside because all he's going to do is go for leg kicks. And meanwhile, he just some white guy, right? He just
Brazilian.
Who's was it? I thought it was some other guy. I think it
Quay
was
Fernandez.
Okay, no, Fernandez was the winner, but the guy he beat was some white guy from England, I think, or something like that, and he just destroyed his leg, and he just basically got a first round KO from leg kicks.
Harry Hardwick.
That's
yep.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
yep.
right.
I was also thinking when you were talking about like being live and just the damage that these guys endure. My favorite UFC event to this day was actually one that you solo shipped. Do you have any idea? Shows how good Sheets is. Austin, Texas.
So many of them, right?
Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett, like 3 years ago in Austin, Texas. I mean, man, it was one of the best events. I think 13 of the 14 finished. Dan the Man hooked me up with floor seats. Phil Hawes against Duran Wynn. If anyone wants to go out and see violence, I mean, man, when you're down there and you guys hear what these guys go through, it was absolutely insane. Roman Dolidze knocked out Kyle Dawkins in his first UFC stint with a knee, broke his nose. I mean, these guys are just absolutely violent. And yeah, you solo shipped that one sheet. So nice. One of my favorite event to this day live, and I've been blessed to be at multiple.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, one of the biggest favorites, Michael Aswell, -450, taking on Gaston Bolanos, +350, +100 for this fight to finish. Aswell +140 inside the distance. Bolanos +580. Tough for me to get much Bolanos, but if you're talking about Leon getting there in a loss, I mean, Bolanos at 6,800, he's 300 less, and it's slightly favored to go the distance. Aswell 9,400, like Levan looks like a way better play in a vacuum, and he is 300 less. I do think that keeps ownership kind of less, especially because like Bia Mesquita, when people want to find the 200 like they will, I do think this fight is going to be pretty low owned. What do you think you'll do?
Yeah, the problem with Bolanos is he doesn't have that get there in a loss style. You know, he's like basically a pure kickboxer, I think, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, he is. But I mean, if Leon, that fight's supposed to be heavily favored to finish, so even 2 takedowns, he gets 25. If this fight goes 15 minutes and it's a war, because Aswell throws a lot of volume, so if he lands 95 significant strikes in a war that way.
Yeah, so 9,400 at +140 inside the distance or 120, that's not going to work for me. The only time that will is if it also comes with a bunch of takedowns, and that's not Aswell's jam, you know. So you're right that it's going to be low owned, and you know, if you run this through a simulator, you know, if it's going to be +1, if he's +130ish to finish, and he's 18% owned instead of 30, he's going to show up. But if we're just talking about like best plays, I mean, you just got to go elsewhere. Like the guy you mentioned before, Chokheli, is definitely on its face. It's better play.
Yep. Yeah, not much more to add there. I do think in really chalky lineups, I mean, Aswell lands almost 8 significant strikes per minute. Like Sheets mentioned, he's +140 inside the distance. That's 41%. And I think his ownership might be half of that. So when you're just going that way alone in the big portfolio lineups, Aswell is my preferred play, even with a lot 2,600 more than Bolanos. Next fight on the card. This fight was actually supposed to take place 2 months ago. Allan Nascimento taking on Mitch Raposo. Nascimento -190. Raposo +165. +120 for this fight to finish. All the finishing equity on the Nascimento side at +140. Raposo +800. You're talking about someone that wants takedowns. Nascimento is one that does. With that being said, his control is so good on the mat, his opponents rarely get up, so he can keep dumping him down, and he does not do too much damage on top, more control and submission versus damage. So 8,800, he wants to get it to the mat. Inside the distance prop solid. Price is solid, but it is favored to go the distance, and I do think if it does go all 15 minutes, more than likely this fight busts. Still for me, Nascimento over Raposo, even for being 1,400 more. Tough for me to get much Mitch Raposo on this card as a +800 inside the distance prop against someone that's going to be looking to control him on the mat the whole time.
And yet, on the other hand, I mean, you have Raposo, who's like just 2 fights removed from having 6 takedowns. You know, so
every matchup's different.
Every matchup's different, and you know, again, this is gonna fly in the face of what I said before. And listen, we're human beings. We love to tell stories, right? So we love to like come up with and we love to vibe these things. And to me, it's just like Raposo goes out like they're freak like a maniac, whatever it is. He'll go for some takedowns and then Nascimento will like guillotine him or something, or reverse him and sub him or whatever it is. It's the question of how many points that it's not just the question of how many points Nascimento scores, but there are variations where Nascimento gets like subs that don't score all too much, but he's priced to move. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's 9,300. He's under 9K, right? I mean, to me it's sort of, I don't want to say a tough fade, but it's one of those things where if you're doing 20 max, you're doing single entry, you're doing cash, I literally have no problem with this. Just playing Nascimento and accept the fact that he might win and get 90, or 95 or something like that. In a 12 fight card though, to play in the lottery, this is one where I don't think that my sims and my process is going to get me all that much of it, because you need ceiling for that type of thing. And Nascimento to me is not a ceiling guy, like he'll do what he has to do. He'll get his whatever, but I think Raposo is going to be the one bringing the action. I mean, I just do. And in those type situations, I mean, like I'd rather not go too heavy on the guy that's going to be, I want to say backing up, that's not going to be bringing the action. So I do like Nascimento. I think he's priced to move. And I think that even in low risk, I think he's a pretty strong play. Like if you started with him and what's his name, and Chokheli, those are two very reasonably priced guys. I mean, given their metrics. As far as Raposo goes, I just don't think I could do it. He's gonna give you a sweat, I guess, but I just think at the end of the day, get there in a loss. Maybe. Is he really going to take down Nascimento? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tougher for me to see him get there in a loss because I think he'll be on his back controlled most of the times when he does lose. If he wins, I think he's mainly keeping it on the feet. As far as Nascimento, like again, I don't love it, but I think somewhere where I'd want to be around is his first round prop. Plus 350, 22%. If you're telling me he gets a first round finish, obviously a quick sub can still score 92, but I would take my chances. So I think somewhere around that 22% mark, Nascimento, maybe a little higher. Not much Mitch Raposo love for me. We'll keep it rolling to the second highest price and the second biggest favorite. Beatriz Mesquita, minus 600, taking on Melissa Mullins, plus 450. This fight's minus 325 to finish. Mesquita, the best inside the distance prop on the slate at minus 280. Mullins, plus 900. Mesquita in round one, plus 140. So these are two primary grapplers, but there is levels to everything. Mesquita, one of the best grapplers in the world when we're talking women's. 4th degree black belt, 10-time IBJJF world champion. If you just Google her names, you can go and find all these other awards. She gets it to the mat. She is nasty, ground and pound submissions. And yeah, Melissa Mullins, I think, is in for not even a long night because I think she probably gets finished in the first or second. The question is, at 9,600, what do you want and how much do you think you'll get of her?
We're not going to do too many of these, right? So if I'm stupid about something, I'm not going to take the same heat as like you guys do for always coming back. I mean,
there's no such thing. I mean, when you do this long enough, it goes in one ear, out the other ear.
I mean, I don't know who died and left Bia Mesquita like the leader of the free world. I don't know. Like I'm literally dismissing those last two fights. I mean, I think those were as much of layups as you could possibly give somebody coming into the UFC. Especially Rondon. I mean, that's a joke. Okay. All I know, not all I know, is that Melissa Mullins had 3 takedowns in her last fight, 2 takedowns the fight before that, and 1 takedown the right fight before that. Yeah, she did get KO'd or whatever it is. I think that she can put up enough resistance to keep Mesquita from winning the slate. How about that?
Yeah, I mean that's
and as a matter of fact, I think that she could be the Marique man she does have some Marique Man possibilities here. If she can get like, a takedown and 2 minutes of control time, who knows? Maybe she gets in there. Now, again, it's not something I'm going to put a lot of money on myself, but it's one of those things where if I run my sims and I run my process and I get like 12% of Mullins, I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, so you know what? So I like to say, the good thing about having 12% of Mullins is that 88% of my lineups are probably in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who knows? So I think that the Mesquita fighter. I mean, she's like you said, she's a 4,000 degree champion and like stuff that is not UFC. Okay, I'm just saying it's a little different. So I'm probably not going to end up with all that much of a $9,600 women fighter with an inside the distance line of, is it even minus 110?
No, it's minus 280.
Plus 280.
No,
it's minus 280.
280.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe
he's plus 140 in round one.
Oh my God.
Minus 120 to win by minus 120 to win by submission.
Like I said, that's why I let the calculator do it for me. But I'm not going to be the slightest bit surprised if she busts here.
Yeah, I mean when you're talking Mullins, like this is numbers, and this is I've tried to get better. MMA is the one sport I deviate a little bit because I mean, like the projection wise,
because you're too smart, you know too much, right?
No, I'm not. It's definitely costing me way more than it's helped me. But it's a sport where, I mean, the projection's so much about win equity, and only one person can get those winning points.
Right.
And so I mean, Melissa Mullins gets a takedown. I think she gets triangled or armbarred when she's on top off her back right away. But with that being said, plus 450 to wins 18%. She probably is going to come in half of that ownership. And if Melissa Mullins wins this fight, I mean, I think she's going to score. I don't know how necessarily.
Right.
Mesquita gasses, she knocks her out, whatever it may be that way. But forget the inside the distance prop. Just money line 6,600, 18%, and she'll be lower owned than that. That feels like a sheets play to me in large field tourneys. Next fight on the card, good real life fight right here. Not sure as much for DFS. We have Vinicius de Oliveira taking on Andre Fili, minus 265 Oliveira, plus 225 Fili, minus 130 for this fight to finish. Oliveira plus 130 inside the distance, Fili plus 425. I mean, I'm a little salty. I had the shipper if Oliveira beat Mario Batista last time out. Turns out the dude's fighting with a fractured arm. He had 25 seconds of cardio. He talked about a really bad weight cut, so he moved up from 135 to 145 for this fight. And Andre Fili had quite the fight last time as well. Plus 400 underdog against Jose Delgado. Split decision loss, was a very, very close fight. But man, Andre Fili's been there, done that. He'll always fight for your dollar. He's solid all around. Oliveira has power. Yeah, I'm coin flip to finish. I'm curious what you're going to do in this one. Actually, before you do go, this fight on Tuesday was minus 230. Now it is minus 265 Oliveira. So he has taken some money since Tuesday. But he opened minus 350 and like 30 minutes later was already down to minus 240. So lines move quite a bit. What are you doing?
Well, I don't know what order, by the way, but we're going to get back to the other one, right?
I'm going based on the stone, which is what I'm showing.
Oh, great.
But I go based on Tapology on Tuesday, so they have it on this order. Sometimes it gets mixed. I'm looking elsewhere; it's higher, but based on the stone, we'll get to all of them.
Yeah. So to be honest, I was a little. You can't be surprised with anything, but I was a little bit surprised with that decision. I really did think Fili won. I thought that the grappling toward in the second and third round, I really thought that he had earned it. I was very surprised, actually. And I
live bet Delgado at plus money. I think it was because one of his takedowns was 25 seconds left, which was the round that like it might have been just too late where I thought he lost the striking before. But I mean, these judges are blind anyway.
I mean, I was salty because I had a lot of Delgado, and so I was going to lose regardless, as he wasn't going to get there DFS wise, So I was like, well, at least maybe I'll get like 80 points if Delgado wins or something. And I was actually surprised they gave it to me. I really thought that Fili had earned that. He's like a tough out, and Oliveira is kind of a head case, in a way. But again, like the numbers are pretty good. Plus 130 inside the distance, right? For Delgado. I mean, for Oliveira at 8,900. I mean, sort of similar to the guys.
Him or Nascimento. I mean, that's pretty much the same.
Sort of similar. Nascimento's got a little bit more, grappling upside, but I think that he's right in there, and I think that Fili is. You sort of have to play him at 7,300. I mean,
I think so.
He's very competitive in every fight. He always, like you said, as Tybo says, he fights for your dollar, and he fights for your dollar with takedowns also.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's like underdog you have to play.
I agree. I hope you played some Daniel Shireman in tournaments for baseball. A little grand salami for the Guardians. So I know Sheets always has some action there, but nothing matters.
I always have action. I always have action everywhere. I just don't know why people keep playing Carlos Rodon. He is just the freaking worst.
Well, I played him in cash today, so that means he's probably good. But yeah, I mean, nothing in MLB until that A's Pittsburgh game means anything today. So the little Shireman there.
Yeah.
I don't love this. Like Oliveira's props in that look good, but I feel he fights for my dollar. He can make it boring, and if Oliveira is not getting a first or second round finish, and not even all second round finishes are guaranteed to be optimal, it's a little harder for me. But with that being said, Oliveira hits really hard. He's now at his proper weight class, and Fili has been knocked out. He's been finished in 7 of his 13 losses, and I believe 4 of those he's been knocked out. So Oliveira is live for a KO at any time. I do prefer Fili for 1,600 less, though. Next fight.
Schneerman, if you pair him with Gavin Williams, you're not happy, though.
I haven't looked at anything. You have the home run notifications on your phone or no?
No, thank God.
Oh gosh, Sheets. Yeah,
I don't know. My home run notification is Titletown right now.
There you go.
No, Gavin Williams has minus 5 fantasy points for Cleveland. So.
What's Rodon at?
He's got 12. Whatever.
All right, I'll take 12 in cash.
It was a bad baseball. You play cash in baseball. You really
play it all, Sheets.
Yeah.
Play it all. All in cash. Not too many tourneys. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, we got Murtazali Magomedov minus 305 taking on Melsik Bagdasaryan plus 255. Minus 210 for this fight to finish. Magomedov minus 110 inside the distance. Bagdasaryan plus 375. This Magomedov guy is making his UFC debut off a Contender Series, 10-0, 5 wins by KO, 5 wins by sub, and he has an OV at the end of the name at only 9K. That all seems pretty good to me. Only gets better when you see Melsik is just a striker. So it feels like Magomedov should go and get takedowns early, and if he does so, he has all the upside in the world. My 2 favorite high or upper tier plays, Levan that we talked about and Magomedov. They don't break the bank. Easy pass for them both. With that being said, I think they're probably 2 of the highest owned on the slate, which then brings Melsik into play for me. Not only because, A plus 255 against an OV that's 10-0 feels like most of the time it's like minus 500 for guys in that spot. And Melsik's good on the feet with UFC competition, but his takedown defense isn't great. I think OV wrestles and puts up a good score, but I'm interested in this fight for sure. Was minus 190 to finish Tuesday, now minus 210.
Yeah, to turn to coin a phrase from Nades, I guess we're kind of in agreement on this one. You got I didn't even think that he was going to do much wrestling. I just think he was just going to knock him out. But in either case, he's got like a minus inside the distance line at 9K. That's just too low. If you're looking to really price these things, when I look at like $9,100, $9,200 fighters, that's when you need like minus 110. So here, 9K is just fine. Like him, Chokheli, like you mentioned, Nascimento, these 3 guys look very, very strong. So now, do you have it in you though, Title, to go for some leverage and play the Bagdasaryan? You hit it right on the head. In that, you almost did. You said he doesn't really have any striking, but I don't really care too much. He doesn't have grappling. He has striking. I don't really care too much if the guy he's against is going to be like really popular. So here's the thing everybody's got to understand, okay, about like this fight. Again, as I mentioned earlier, This guy Bagdasaryan, whether you believe it or not, is going to win this fight about 25% of the time. It seems impossible, right? But it's just the case. I mean, he's at 3, even big adjusted, barely a 3-1 underdog, which means 25% of the time the dude wins. So what happens in the 25% of the time that dude wins? Well, does he score well? I mean, he's got to score something. But more to the point, on a 12-fight card, he knocks out a guy that's going to be really popular. Now, how popular is he going to be? Again, same issue. I don't think he's going to be that popular because, like you said, Chokheli is going to take some money. Nascimento is going to take some money. So maybe it's not such extreme leverage. But I'm telling you, I've just seen too much shit. You know, if you play 150 and you do not do stuff, I can't impose this upon all you guys enough. Do not X guys out of 150 max. If you don't get to them because your projections or don't get there, if you don't get to them because your sims don't get there, that's fine. But don't manually X them out because in your head you just can't imagine them winning. This guy is going to win this fight 25% of the time, whether you believe it or not. And when he does, he's going to knock out 35% of the pool.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Most of his wins is by finish. He's plus 255 money line, plus 375 inside the distance. So 7,200. Also, like I said, usually when there's a Magomedov OV that's undefeated, when they're making their UFC debut, that especially against someone that can't grapple, usually we see minus 550, minus 600. This line is telling me that Melsik is pretty live in this fight. And to my point about Magomedov trying to grapple, the lines have moved. So by TKO, Magomedov opened plus 270. Now he's plus 275. He opened plus 270 by sub, and now he's plus 225. So some money has come in on his sub prop as well. But definitely a good fight to target, in my opinion. What's up, Mateus? And what is up, Little Neck? Phenomenal job in the NBA showdown streets by our man, Little Neck. All right, next fight on the card, we got Andre Lima, the highest priced and biggest favorites, at minus 650, taking on Kevin Borjas, plus 475. Minus 120 for this fight to finish. Lima, plus 110 inside the distance. Borjas, plus 700. This fight to finish, open minus 115, now minus 120. I mean, this feels like an easy XL fight. I mean, Lima, I think, needs to wrestle to get there, and even if he does that, like, will 112 be enough in 9,700? Which, I mean, 112 would be amazing for him, in my opinion. So he's better everywhere. Borjas is a striker, so maybe he wrestles. I mean, yeah, you play 150, you're going to play some. But let me throw it to you. If you're playing 20 teams or less, what do you think you're doing in this one?
I will go a step further, and I've said this before in some of my other content. I can't imagine playing a $9,700 fighter regardless of what his metrics are. I mean, if you sign me up for a first round finish, I still don't think 9,700 works. You know, the only way 9,700 works is if you have one of those cards where you have that $7,400 fighter who's a replacement fighter. You know, like it's just so difficult, just the way 50,000 divides by 6 to make it with 9,700. So it almost in a weird way doesn't matter what his metrics are, and not to mention the fact that his metrics stink. Like his metrics are plus one or plus money without really being, you know, the big wrestler anyway. So yeah, I'm with you. And the problem is that if you like Borjas for some reason, you're not really even, you know, getting. I mean, listen, it's fine. Listen, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't sign up for a Borjas win at 6,600 or whatever, but Lima's going to be probably what, 20% owned max.
Yep,
at his price. Low. So now the funny thing about Borjas, it reminds me of like, you know, like in football, they have all those coaching trees. You know, they had like the Belichick coaching trees where everybody, they have all these guys that play for Belichick. You had the Seifert and Bill Walsh coaching trees. Then you had the Gruden coaching trees. Like, for whatever reason, like Borjas is part of this like Joshua Van like MMA math thing. Like, there's like so many guys that like were competitive against Joshua Van that people just keep on like referring to. Like whenever like Charles Johnson is like in a fight, like all people will talk about is how he beat Joshua Van, and anybody who goes against Charles Johnson will say, "Boy, the guy beat Charles Johnson, and boy, Charles Johnson beat Joshua Van." So like, Joshua Van has like this weird like this MMA mastery. So Borjas always is you're always reminded of how competitive he was against Joshua Van. But again, he's only going to win this fight, what, 15% of the time probably at his price. And if he's going to win the fight 15% of the time, that's not going to be good enough unless you could also sign up for an incredible amount of leverage, which you're just not getting. So I agree with you. X out. I don't actually exit out, but in a, if you were hand building, let's put it this way, I wouldn't play it.
Agree. I think this is one of the worst fights on the card to target. Probably the worst. Next fight on the card. This one should be good in real life for sure. It's Christian Rodriguez minus 175 taking on Hyder Emil plus 150, plus 105 for this fight to finish. Emil, the underdog, with a slightly better inside the distance prop at plus 260 versus plus 265 for C-Rod. I mean, anytime that I'm getting a underdog with a slightly better inside the distance prop at plus 260 and he lands 5.81 significant strikes per minute, I will definitely be playing some Hyder Emil. As far as the C-Rod side, he's just a better real-life fighter than DFS. He ruined Raul Rosas Jr., Austin Bashi, Isaac Dalgarian, Cameron Simon. He was known as the prospect killer. He still kind of is. It's a good fight. Hyder Emil's getting up there in age. That's another thing that stands out. 36 is Hyder Emil. 28 is Christian Rodriguez. I think Emil pushes the pace in this one. C-Rod, I expect to mix in his wrestling and grappling. Mid-tier fight. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it and how it compares to some other mid-tier fights, like that Shane Collins fight that we talked about, the Karahosa fight. What do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be the other one. I think the Santos Rosa fight is going to make sense from a pricing perspective. And this one's going to make sense from a pricing perspective also. Plus, like you said, I mean, it's all right there in front of you. If you ask 75 million people about this fight, they'll know that Hyder Emil is very aggressive, right? And he brings it, and he's 7,800. And that's going to be good enough. And he's going to project well. He's going to get ownership, which means that you probably have to play both sides. I mean, I know typically, what's his name? C-Rod is not the guy who's not the ceiling guy. But again, God forbid Emil ends up 30% owned. You're just going to want to have the other side of that. And listen, C-Rod likes to counter people, and Emil comes rushing in, and the next thing you know, C-Rod will get like maybe a nice second round finish. Will second round finish be good enough? Maybe not at 8,600. But I agree. I think you have to play both sides of this, and I think it's a really key fight in terms of kind of like low risk contests.
Yep, I agree. All right, 2 fights left. We're chugging along. We got the co-main events. Good size favorite, Navajo Sterling, minus 330, taking on Ion Cutelaba, plus 255, minus 210 for this fight to finish. Sterling, minus 135 inside the distance. Cutelaba, plus 375. Kind of what we talked about, Hyder Emil. Cutelaba, he's a UFC vet, has always been known just to be a crazy man. Paints his face like the Hulk. The Ankalaev fight just like comes out guns blazing. With that being said, he's kind of changed his style a little bit as of late. He has a big overhand. He can wrestle. In this fight, Navajo is the one that keeps it at distance. He outpoints you. He sticks with his jab. So I'm like, it's minus 210 to finish. 9,200, 7K. Both guys have a clear path. Navajo expected to finish. Ion can wrestle with the solid inside the distance prop. So it's going to be owned. I mean, I think you have to play it, but I do have a little reservations in it, just in the sense of if Ion can't wrestle, and Navajo, 3 inches in height, 4 inches in reach. If he keeps this fight at distance and use that jab and sticks and moves, a round 2 finish might not be enough. Round 3 probably isn't. And we have over 1.5, minus 175. This is tough. I don't think this is one I want to be too crazy over the field, but I also just don't want to take a huge stand and be like half underweight. So yeah, this is one of the ones I was most curious to hear your take on.
Well, the good thing is that like, again, Sterling wins this fight 75% of the time. The Cutelaba wins 25%. The thing about this is that Cutelaba Like in his wins, he's going to smash.
Yeah.
So let's say 25% of the time he smashes. I do think he's going to get played. I think people played him before, and I think that Cutelaba, everybody sees what I see, and 7K. Boy, the only thing is that it's very rare that someone 7K is that popular. So maybe he doesn't get that much. Maybe he's like 16, 17. And let's put it this way. I think that Sterling's got a lot more competition in his range than Cutelaba does in his range.
Agreed.
So I like Cutelaba, I would say a lot, but like I can't give absolute lineups out, but I just kind of put this together like as we're kind of going along. And this one doesn't even have anybody from the main event. And this type of construction like makes like sense. It's not so easy to get. This leaves 400 on the table too. I don't know if I'm actually going to play this, but this looks pretty good. You know what I mean? And Cutelaba at 7K, if he wins, he's going to smash. How often is he going to win? 25% of the time. Right? And the 75% of the time that Sterling wins, is he going to smash all those times? No. Okay. So I definitely think that if I had to pick one guy from this fight, it would be Cutelaba.
I like it. That breakdown makes a whole lot of sense to me. Again, just want to head over to the Shipping Nation homepage before we get to the main event. Again, if you're tuning in late, we have a deal, $99 usually for all access. Now $49 for the first month. All of the sports above, SaberSim, the Discord. We have PGA Showdown in there, MMA, NASCAR, of course, MLB, always going on. Next thing you know, NFL will be here. Very excited for that, but it's still a little too early to talk that. Bottom left, join the nation if you want to get in for cheaper. 5 days for $19, Discord and SaberSim included there. And then to the right, single sport package. We do have MMA as well. It's almost every single week. You get projections, ownership, the stone, fight rankings, core reports, tutorials, you name it. We got it. Less than $1 a day and just $20 more for the month. We would love to have you and definitely do get in the Discord if you do join. It's the main event time. This is a great real life fight. We got Manel Kape minus 160 taking on Horiguchi plus 140, minus 120 for this fight to finish. Kape plus 150 inside the distance. Horiguchi plus 400. Kape in round one plus 600. Kape open minus 275. And a whole lot of money has kept coming on the Horiguchi side. And I mean, it makes sense. Ever since he got his second stint in the UFC, he is 2-0. And man, has he looked absolutely amazing in those two fights. Kape is just a striker. So I talked about it like from the top. I don't love this fight for DFS, assuming that ownership does come in pretty high. Horiguchi is my preferred play for 1K less. Horiguchi is my pick to win. I think he has more ways to mix it up. His speed on the feet's really good. I think he can stick and move. Kape has big boy power, though. He can get it done at any time, but it mainly comes down to Kape wins a decision at 8,600. Might not be enough. Kape gets a third-round knockout. Might not be enough. He is 8,600. He's not 9,200. So there's a little room to maneuver, but we talked about some mid-tier fights that have upside. Horiguchi, my preferred play. Obviously, you're playing 150. You're not fading it or whatever. But yeah, if you have like 20 teams, I assume you're having fight fades. I'm curious what you think, though.
Yeah, first of all, your cash play is actually going to get there. You have Rodon as his 14.45, and they have a 3-run lead. So we get the win bonus, 18 points on a. You'll sign on for that, I believe.
For sure. You know how cash games work, though. It's probably like 80% in the 250 or 75%. There you go.
I bet. Okay, so again, according to the numbers, it's a striking battle. It's 5 rounds, and the thing is that the problem is that the fight being 5 rounds helps this fight like more than some of the fights with better finishing upside, right? Because you get 5 rounds of volume out of these guys. So if the fight busts, you're talking about still like 90-ish, 95.
We did just see Bonfim against Bilal get 81.
True. That is true.
Granted, he was on the winner. Shout out. I got there barely, but not every card are you taking 81.
So again, this is like more like vibes again. But here's my view. So Manel Kape, I think he's a legitimate problem. Okay, listen. We've all been following him kind of since we all got into MMA DFS, and okay, he got smothered by Makayev, whatever. But
he had a broken toe in that too. I think first round he broke his toe.
But he KO'd Almabayev in the third round, whatever it is. The guy's got fast hands, and then I was getting all pumped for this freaking Royval fight. There was going to be some big war between the two of them, and Royval. And he just dusted him. I mean, it's just he just literally dusted him. And these guys did fight before, okay? When Kape was 22 and what's his name was 28 or whatever it is.
You don't look at that at all, though, right?
No,
There's
not
zero
at all.
that's going on here.
Not at all. And I listen, and Horiguchi came in as barely the underdog to Ulanbekov, and he was just awesome. Okay, he dominated him, and he basically dominated Albazi as well. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can get if I can continue to bet against this Kape dude. You know what I mean? The guy was just so freaking good against Royval. I'm just, again, this is why I try not to put my opinions on here, because if I look and I know what I saw, I'm never betting against this guy. I just never am. But like you said, 7,600. If he wins, it's going to be probably 5 rounds of just a lot of activity. So at 7,600, that's probably going to be good enough to get there. But the more I think about this fight, the more I kind of just kind of hoping it doesn't get there. You know what I mean? And just playing some of these other fights and just hoping that the fight just goes 5 rounds. And like you said, you get some Bonfim thing where the winner scores 90 or something like that. And it's not enough because they're both going to be what? What are they going to be? Are they going to be 40% each or no?
I think Kape's going to probably be closer to the 35 mark, 33 maybe.
Horiguchi's going to be higher?
Probably 40, right around there. I think they're similar, but if I had to guess right now, I think due to the value not being great and that 1K and him taking money, I do think Horiguchi probably will be higher.
Dude, I've seen this so many times. You could have all these people in the Discord saying, oh my God, I need Horiguchi for this. I need Horiguchi for that. I need Horiguchi for this. I need Horiguchi for that. Because all the favorites have come in or whatever. And then Kape just dusted him in the first round. You know what I mean? And then everybody looks at the lobby. Wait, who won? Who got there? Whatever it is. And then it'll be Kape with 400 with 4 favorites and Melissa Mullins with 12 points or something like that. So
you're talking into existence. Yeah. Hopefully not. Wouldn't be good for me.
No.
But yeah, it's definitely a fadeable main event, and just like my thought from the top when we talked about 9 of the 12 expected to finish with the 2 biggest favorites, 9,700, 9,600. It's pretty priced appropriately. I don't think we're going to see anyone above 45% owned, or maybe right around there. So fingers crossed we keep all 12, because if we do, a spread out card is always fun. What's up, Lone Wolf? Great to see you. Sites in here. YSN predicting KO for Kape. I always have fun talking with the sheets. We appreciate the like button and the subscribe button. It does help us out a ton. Definitely do it just for our man Sheets for filling in. The floor is yours. Anything you want to say at UFC, real life, DFS, poker, you name it. The floor is yours.
No, I mean, you guys are with a good crew, and I've been trying to help out with some of the stuff that is not talked about too much, like some of the pool stuff. I've been kind of dealing with, but you guys got a great community here, and you got people that are really giving you their best. And UFC is one of my favorite Discords to kind of troll, and be around. And just happy to fill in for Marley. And hopefully one of you guys is live at the end. And hopefully one of you guys ships it.
There we go. I hope someone watching this show, or a Shipping Nation logo, or whatever Eagle or whatever Sheets has up there up top, is a part of the shipper with others. We appreciate everyone hanging out. We'll be back next week as always. Again, like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. We would love to see you in the MMA Discord. For my man Sheets, I'm Titletown. Good luck. Be safe. Peace.